We heard a couple of moments or so ago from Alan Smith talking about Antoine Semenyo potentially being a good fit for Liverpool in the January transfer window. He's a player that's attracting a lot of attention at the moment. We've got an update on the Bournemouth forward and his future. Let's speak to our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol. Good afternoon, Kaveh. What can you tell us?
Yeah, the race is hotting up for Antoine Semenyo because Chelsea have now made an inquiry to sign him. They've asked for information about the conditions of a possible deal. But before we get too carried away, we should remember that there are a lot of clubs who are interested in signing him next month. Of course, it's not often that you get a player as good as Antoine Semenyo who's available with a release clause in the January window. Now, the release clause, we're led to believe, is around £60 million, and it is valid until the middle of January. We weren't expecting Chelsea to be very busy during this upcoming transfer window, but I think it's just a situation where, you know, this player is so exceptional and he is available at what many people would say is a reasonable fee. And I think that is one of the reasons why Chelsea have made this inquiry for him.
It's interesting, Kaveh, because we talk so often about the level of recruitment at Chelsea since their new owners arrive. Alejandro Garnacho, Jamie Gittins, Esteval, Neto, all options in terms of those wide forward positions. Is this someone who is seen as a player they can't really afford to not have an interest in and not have some discussions in, given the quality of the player? And in context, it's not the biggest release clause in the world.
No, exactly. I think you make some very good points there. I think that is exactly why Chelsea are looking at this potential deal. But look, there are a long list of clubs who are interested in signing him. And we're also in this interesting position where I think clubs have to keep their cards very close to their chest because obviously they don't want to be seen to have missed out on him. And I'm not necessarily talking about Chelsea or any other specific club here. It's just that we're in this position where at the end of the day, Antoine Semenyo is going to have a choice of which club he signs for. I think pretty much everybody in the football world accepts the fact that he is going to leave Bournemouth, before the middle of January. And it's up to him to decide where he wants to go. Now, we've previously reported that Manchester City are interested in signing him. Manchester United have made a move for him as well. What is really interesting is what Liverpool decide to do, because the information we've had is that the player would find it difficult to turn down Liverpool if Liverpool were to make a move for him. So we've seen them in the past leave it very, very late. Liverpool are a club who don't like getting involved in bidding wars. You know, if they think that a player wants to come to Liverpool, they don't see any point in bidding against themselves, even though in this position, there's a simple release clause. All you have to do is pay the release clause, but who knows? You know, when it comes to personal terms, when it comes to negotiating a contract, different clubs are going to be offering different amounts. And it's going to be ultimately down to the player where he decides to go. Does he believe that, you know, his future, his development is best served at a club like Liverpool if they come in for him, or Manchester City working under Pep Guardiola, or working with Ruben Amorim at Manchester United, all the great history that club has, even though they're not in Europe at the moment? Or will Chelsea follow up this inquiry, and will he feel that his future is at Chelsea? Does he feel like maybe he wants to live in London? Does he want to sign up to the so-called Chelsea project? Interesting situation, because we don't normally see this kind of deal in January, but it's just because he's such a good player. And as you say, the release clause is pretty reasonable when you consider how much players of his quality usually move for, especially in the January window.
The final point you would make, Kaveh, is, and we will hear very shortly from Andone Iraola, that it's good business, good contractual work from Bournemouth to have this release clause that changes midway through the window, so that Bournemouth aren't dragged right the way till the start of February with this, that he will likely go in the first couple of weeks. And I'm sure Bournemouth are already in the process of looking for a replacement. No,
exactly. They have been aware for a long time that there is a strong possibility that Semenyo could leave in January. And I think there was a strong possibility that he could leave last summer. which is why they moved quickly to tie him down to a new contract. But obviously, one of the conditions of him signing a new contract from his perspective was that it had this release clause. But again, Bournemouth were very clever because they made sure that the release clause was only active for half the window, which would give them time to replace him. And look, Bournemouth, you don't need me to tell you how well run they are and how great their recruitment is. They have been selling players in the summer to the likes of clubs like Liverpool, like PSG, like Real Madrid, and now they've got all these clubs queuing up to sign Antoine Semenyo for him. If I was a Bournemouth fan, I would obviously be sad to see Antoine Semenyo leaving, but I think I would trust my recruitment department to have lined up, quality replacements who would one day become as good as Antoine Semenyo and as valuable as him.
Plenty to get through with Dave Reed, with Dan, and with... But financially, in the transfer windows, he's been backed.
He has been backed. I mean, Chelsea have spent a lot of money. They've got a model where they buy young players. That sometimes makes his job more difficult because you would think most managers, head coaches would want more experienced players in their squad as well. But he's had to buy into that. I think sometimes there's been tension behind the scenes when it's come to recruitment as well. For instance, at the start of this season, when Levi Colwill was injured, it looks like he was going to be out for the whole season. Enzo Maresca went public with the fact that he wanted the club to sign a new centre-back. Now, that was never going to happen. That was not club policy at all. They feel they've got enough centre-backs in their squad as it is. So that was another sort of sign that...
There, welcome back. It's a Christmas special of the Transfer Show. Now on to Chelsea in the January window. Gary Neville feels that the board need to back Enzo Maresca by experience to the spine of the team.
I don't see the players in the centre-forward position or the centre-back position or the goalkeeper position being those characters. I think they're going to have to intervene and help them and give them sort of what would be a spine of sort of real fierce physical characters that gives those young players the ability just to feel like they're safe on. You go to Newcastle away, and I travelled there as a 20-year-old into Anfield. You need people alongside you in that spine of your team that can hug you and cuddle you and get you through it. You know what I mean? It's from a football perspective. Those Chelsea young players don't have that safety of that spine. They just don't, and I think they need that. I'm not saying they need all six of those, but they need one in each position. I don't think they've got it. Maybe midfield they have, but not in the other areas.
Dan, do you agree with that? As a young player, do you need like that more experienced player to hug and cuddle you, as G-Nev says?
Look, I think if, say, for example, Trevor Chalobah had Thiago Silva next to him, I think he'd rather it than not. But I don't know. I mean, who's out there that Chelsea can sign now in January? Say a number 9, an experienced number 9 forward for the money that they want to spend. There's not many players out there that can just come in and fill that void. João Pedro's doing great. Leon Delap's been in and out, a few injuries. I don't think they need a number 9. They've got so much attacking players, so much talent there, that they just probably need to just harness it a little bit. The position I would say is, I know Sanchez is doing really well this season. He's improved a lot. I was really surprised they didn't go for Donnarumma in the summer alongside Manchester City, whether they would have got him or not. I don't ever think Chelsea was even interested in him. So that tells you the faith that I had in Robert Sanchez. The centre-half position is probably the key one. But again, experienced centre-backs, will you try and get something now? Possibly Mark Guehi, get him at a cheap deal. Nathan Ake is probably another one that you can just chuck a name out there quickly. Probably coming out of contract at City soon. Ex-Chelsea, 31, he has that experience. He could probably slot straight in there. So yeah, there's not many players that they can add to that squad now.
Carve, any suggestions of signing a number 9?
I mean, it's been mentioned to me, but not from anybody inside the club. People outside sort of speculating, throwing names around of clubs who are looking for number 9s, Tottenham. It's been mentioned that Manchester United, Chelsea, I'm not so sure because Chelsea got Liam Delap in, got João Pedro in as well. I hear what Gary Neville is saying. What he's saying is what a lot of Chelsea fans are saying, that look, we've got a really, really young squad. It's all well and good signing all these young players and trying to develop them, but there comes a time when you need to sign experienced players as well. But 2 points I would make. One, we don't live in a day and age where you can go out and get a John Terry or a Frank Lampard or a Didier Drogba. And the second point I would make is the recruitment strategy at Chelsea is set in stone, and that is to buy younger players. Having said that, I'm just going back to last summer when they were potentially offered the chance to sign Virgil van Dijk. If he hadn't signed a new contract at Liverpool, that is definitely a player they were in the mix to sign. But all along their feeling was that he would sign a new contract at Liverpool. So I don't think they totally discount signing older players, but pretty much nearly all the time they're focused on signing players who fit a certain profile, and that profile is a younger player that they can develop.
You were just on your phone there. Got any lines for us? No. Okay, something personal then. Just this thing on number 9s. It's hard to find. It's hard to find number 9s, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think how many clubs were after one in the summer, and you could almost argue like Isak, Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko, Voltemada, those were the big ones, if I've missed any out, that moved into the Premier League. Who's been the most successful? Probably the one that we least expected to be the most successful in Nick Voltemada so far. Of course, we've got to give everyone time. Alexander Isak, unfortunately for him, is now, well, a lot of his season's now being curtailed. Gyökeres, I think Arsenal are happy with a lot of the things that he's doing. Clearly, he's going to increase in confidence if he can score more goals. And I think that the penalty, I mean, it's usually either Bukayo Saka and Odegaard. They were both on the pitch, but, you know, they gave him the ball, and there must have been a reason behind that to increase his confidence maybe. And who knows what that can do for him now. Could set him away into a run of games where he scores every week. So it's very, very difficult. It's the hardest position to find a player. So let's see. It's a very, very problematic one.
Kaveh, just wanted to ask you a bit about Enzo Maresca and his future. It feels like something's going on, doesn't it? How much say is he going to have, do you think, in this window?
I think he's when it comes to recruitment, but he doesn't have the final say. You know, Chelsea have a recruitment structure. They've got lots of sporting directors. There's a sort of team behind the team, and Enzo Maresca is obviously part of that team, and he's also the head coach, but he definitely does not have the final say, because if he did have the final say, then Chelsea probably have signed a more experienced centre-back at the start of the season. But I think it's something that he has bought into. He's been a little bit frustrated about it, but don't forget, when he got the Chelsea job, he said to Chelsea, this squad is perfect for me. If I could, you know, build a squad that was built for me and the way I want to do things and the way I want to play, this would be the squad. So I think he's happier at Chelsea than is sometimes made out. Obviously, there are some issues behind the scenes.
Some issues, that little 48-hour
But it's Christmas. We don't
issue.
want to go into all that.
OK, Dan, you'll go into it for us. You know, those comments about the worst 48 hours since he's been at Chelsea. As a player, and you're hearing your manager say that, how does that feel?
Yeah, I don't think he was aiming that at the players at all. I think it was obviously someone higher up. But yeah, as a player, I don't think, to be honest, when you're back on the team coach and the manager's in the press conference, you actually don't really read it a lot of the time. You don't sit there and go, oh, the manager said this, lads, have a look.
You don't have 409 on in the bus.
Yeah, it's on everywhere in every football club, but you tend to not get too caught up in all that sort of stuff. You can only dictate what you can on the field, and obviously the manager's got their own issues with whoever, and the players don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So yeah, you let Enzo aim that at whoever he's got to aim at and air it out, and hopefully they can all get on and move on.
OK, well, I think that's my cue to move on, isn't it? Right, West Ham now then. Dharmesh, you got news of a striker on the way out?
Yeah, it looks like his developments here, because Florian Plettenberg, our colleague at Sky in Germany, is now reporting that Nicholas Füllkrug to AC Milan from West Ham United. He's claiming it's a done deal. It's nothing official from either club at the moment, but he says there's a full agreement now between AC Milan and West Ham United, which would see Fulkrug go from the London Stadium to the San Siro on an initial 6-month loan with an option to buy next summer. And you know what? It hasn't worked out. I mean, it was a really highly thought of signing back in August 2024 when he joined from Borussia Dortmund for an initial £19 million. But injuries have really restricted his time at West Ham United. And it looks like it's best for all parties, particularly if he's still got ambitions to play for Germany at the World Cup. He wants to play regularly. And I think if AC Milan have agreed this deal, it looks like they will be able to give him that regular football that he wants. So according to our colleague at Sky in Germany, Florian Plettenberg, that one looks like it's close to being a done deal.
OK, right, let's get on to Crystal Palace then. Carve, Jean-Philippe Mateta, any chance he could leave in January?
Yeah, you were just asking Darmish about number 9s. Obviously, he is somebody who is, I think, in a little, I wouldn't say a standoff over his contract with Crystal Palace, but not much progress is being made, and he's got about 18 months left on his deal. I think the situation with him is, if other clubs came in for him, it is something that he would consider. And I think he's aware of the fact that there are quite a lot of clubs who are looking for a number 9. Sticking with number 9s as well, another interesting one is Ivan Toney. You know, Fulkrug has left. He would be perhaps a dream signing for West Ham United. I think it's going to be almost impossible to sign Ivan Toney in January. He's happy in Jeddah, playing for Al Ahly. He scored a lot of goals for them this season. And there's also the small matter of the fact that he earns around £600,000 a week. And if he was to come back to the UK, it would have major tax implications for him as well.
Okay.
So I think it looks like he is not a player who will be coming back to the Premier League. Although a lot of people have been saying he needs to get back, because if he gets back, he'll be in the shop window and then he can get back into the England squad as well.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you, Dan, this is a super quick one from you. Should Toney go to the World Cup, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Super quick. You said super quick.
Fantastic work.
I like him as a player, by the way, but